So we learned quite a bit here. And then we learned pretty much every muscle in the body. And I'm not kidding, we work on places you never knew that. So we did there. You know, we'll work on muscles in your eyeballs, right? To help for lazy eye, for maybe blurred vision, for headaches behind the eyes. We'll work on your cranial bones to help them release pressure, so you pretty much get full body change with sometimes for that. We'll work on muscles in the shoulders that you didn't even know that were there. They would create problems you didn't understand until you knew the muscle. We'll go to the hip with pelvis and muscles to help people there as well. So it's going to be unbelievable what we do. We'll use different tools, goniometer to measure range of motion, so we can have a base number, so when the client does change, we can see that change, right? And then the client can see that. The client can see the numbers compared to, well, yeah, you know, this feels better compared to, okay, you were at 90 degrees, now you're at 110 degrees. Wow, I'm at 110 degrees compared to, oh man, that's a big difference. They're silly, but that's the way clients are. And we write all this down, we'll chart it down really well, so we can see that progress, and then show it to our clients, and then they can see the progress. Clients love that. They love to participate. Right? You'll learn how to write letters to doctors and other therapists, so that you can tell them, you know, I'm here, this is what I'm doing, introduce yourself, and then write letters to maybe insurance companies later on and tell them the kind of work you're doing, so they can say, hey, this person knows what they're doing. Because in the U.S., CNMT is insurance accepted. By the way, you're an NMT therapist, you're accepted, and you have to write reports, which is okay, but you got to write good reports. And then once you've done that, it's easy. And we'll have a certain format. We learn how to write a good health history form, because if you're not asking the right questions right off the bat, you're going to miss something, and it's going to take you longer. So we actually get quite a bit there. You ask the right questions, you don't even have to do much after that. You're like, is that all it is? Right? Come here, and instead of trying to struggle along trying to figure it out, you would have got a huge amount up front. So this is what MT is. It's huge, but it's not that huge that you can't get it. Right? It'll just open up your mind. And talking about posture, here's a chart here that we have. Well, if you have any questions while I'm talking, please feel free to ask me, okay? Now, this chart here, we'll use little guys like this with already lines built in to show you where the body should be. It doesn't have to be exactly there, but close enough would be good, because everybody's body is different. We do not make a person with a, tie a string on their head and put it into like this. As long as they're not in pain and they're fairly upright, then we're going to be okay with that. So we'll check it from a coronal view, from a side view, which is very vital. That shows us a lot, right? A huge amount of information there. And then, of course, we'll have a frontal view and a posterior view. And from there, we can start to see where the body is and which muscles are keeping them there. Right? Then once we do that, so we don't have to work the whole body now. We only have to work the muscles that are involved with keeping the body like this. Right? So then we can get the body to go there. And that's a neurological law. Okay? It's called Davis law. Okay? Now, Davis law tells us that if a muscle ends are brought closer together, the muscle becomes tight and powerful. If muscle ends are brought further apart, they become weak, kind of flaccid. Yeah? So that law tells us that we need to work on the tight muscles and strengthen the weak muscles. And so what's happening, the person's like this, we'll open this area and get the person to exercise and strengthen this muscles so we get a balanced back. Right? But if I were to work 50% here and 50% here, where do you think the client would go? Nowhere. They stay here. Right? So the law tells us to work 70% of the time here to get that shift moving, and only 30% here to get the muscles to soothe and start to keep back. See how that works? Yeah? And when you look at the posture of a person, it's going to be important to understand that a lot of therapists see this. right? Most people are here. Very few people who walk in like this. Right? You're lucky if you see one of those. And the problem there is, of course, the person will have lots of pain in his nothing here. And most clients will go here. They want their clients to look more like cavemen, right? So they'll release these muscles and they'll go further. Well, see, there's not, the problem with that is these muscles are actually being pulled apart, right? If they were tight, the person would be this way. But they're taut, not constricted tight, they're pulled taut. Does it make sense? And so really the work should be done anteriorly, and they will get relief immediately in the back. And then they won't walk out like a cave person, right? They'll walk out nicely. And that makes a big difference when I have clients come in, oh, well, they're always working my back and it hurts back, I said, look, how long does it last? Oh, well, it lasts, sometimes a couple hours, and maybe the next day, but it feels good. So, okay, well, do you want it just to feel good for that short period of time, or do you want to get rid of this? If you want it to feel good for a short period of time, then you go back to that therapist. But if you want to get rid of it, you're in the right place. So they lay on their back, open them up, they stand up and they go, oh, I don't feel my back no more. Right? So it's understanding where the body should be and how to get it to let go into that position. Right? That's another law. That's called Arndt's law. Right? Weak stimuli increase physiological activity. Moderate stimuli favor physiological activity. Strong stimuli inhibit or stop. So in other words, they're shutting down the nervous system. They're beating up that nervous system because it's already stimulated, shutting it down. Of course, the client feels good. But once this nervous system kicks back on again, well, it's going to hurt you. Right? And so you can see that the more you understand the body, the more you realize what you need to do to get it back. And so we really need to know our posture. We'll also do a postural analysis of the cranium. Right? And you can look at a person's face long enough, you'll see it's crooked on some people. Right? And you know, the funny thing is, you see some of these announcers on TV, you think they come see us. And they're like, oh, yeah. And you're like, I'm going to get in there and work that out.
Oh, so you physically work, you physically get in there and work.
Oh, yeah. But first we release the muscles first, and then we shift the cranial bones. And then we'll remeasure it, and you'll see the change. It's pretty powerful stuff. Remember, the hard drive is in here. Right? The hard drive runs everything in your body. If it's compressed, torqued or twisted, something in the body is going to be compressed, torqued or twisted. Right? And then, of course, we know which muscles create different movements, which would create different postures. Right? So you can see, we learn a lot. And that's just one thing about mine. We'll get to this stuff yet. So, as you can see, that's a huge amount, but it's not hard because what happens is we live it. Does this make sense? Once you start doing the course, you start to live it, and then it becomes yours. You know? A postural analysis might take about 30 minutes the first time. After that, it goes all the way down to about maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then really after a while, you don't even have to check too much. You just, okay, I got it. But you got to get there by practicing first. Or you got to get that eye. Yeah? And it takes some time, but man, it's worth it. I have clients that look at them, I already know what I'm going to do. You know, then I already know what they're going to say. Because they can see where it hurts. Right? And that's where you want to get. So you see how much time you saved already by just going to the face first. So that's what we'll be using. We'll have make our own health history forms. We'll have our own postural charts ready to mark everything down. So you can see we're going to be very precise. We're going to have evidence that we've done our best work. Yeah? Then, in the theory class, we're going to learn about trigger points. Now, trigger points, everybody know about trigger points? Yeah? They're nasty, I tell you. They can cause lots of problems. And if not dealt with properly, then we're not going to be able to do our best work. So we're going to learn more about trigger points. Do we know that trigger points can create motion sickness? Okay. Photophobia, mimic migraine headaches. Yeah? So you can see they can mimic anything. Right? It only makes sense, doesn't it? Because the body actually is trying to say not to do something. Right? Now, everybody knows this muscle there, the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Well, this muscle, when it has trigger points, it can fire into the balance center, into the frontal sinuses, into the face, like a bunch of little fingers, or into the back of the head to make it like a migraine headache. Okay? Now, it fires into the balance center. Right? Now, if you're in any vehicle that's moving, what's the first thing that happens when you either push on the gas pedal or any kind of pedal that makes it go forward? You go forward. Your head goes back, right? I'm going to exaggerate right now, okay? And so this muscle's job is to check rein, to hold the head from doing that. So instead of your head doing that, it holds it and tightens, but then it fires into the balance center, and then the person feels motion sickness. Right? And so we will check that muscle out and ensure that it's not the culprit. There could be other reasons for motion sickness, but that's one that I found to be quite often. Right? And as you can see, if you have a person who comes in your office and wants just a massage because their neck is tight, and you didn't ask them if they ever get motion sickness or photophobia or something, then you can't help them. You're just going to basically massage their muscles. But if you had a good health history for them and they start taking these things off, you go, what's this about? When do you get this? And they go, oh, well, I've had motion sickness all my life. Well, can we check this out for you? And then you check the muscle out. Sure enough, it fires, they feel weird, and then you can help them. And that is amazing to them because they've been living with either pills or gadgets or whatever, or can't go fishing anymore, or hate driving because of that, and then you now have changed your lives just by that little bit of knowledge. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the information that you will hear throughout the course. Because there's a lot of other things like that throughout the life.
I guess, Leon, for me, that was one of the amazing experiences of doing the NMT course with you is that you keep posing questions that this is where trigger points could fire to and cause this pain and that pain. I remember once just having a student just in our basic massage class, we try and get even numbers for a massage class because they cover up and it's like really inconvenient to not have even numbers. And the student was like getting a migraine, and she said, oh, I can see the flashing lights, I've got to go home to a dark room, take meds, and I'll be in there for 24 hours, and that's their way of doing it. And I said, well, that probably does work for you, and can I just have 10 minutes? 10 minutes just on the table to see if we can find something that might be helping. And the first place I looked was occipital, because there was no tension there, and I just, the very muscle you mentioned, the sternocleidomastoid, just squeezed on it. She said, oh, that's making it worse, that's making it worse. We had a trigger point. And within about 20 minutes, it was during the lunchtime, 20 minutes of work, just released the trigger points. So I said, how's that? How's the migraine? And it had calmed down to the point where she felt she could control it and just take a little bit of medication, and she stayed for the rest of the class. And it's just, a lot of people, when someone's about to get a migraine, a lot of practitioners are too scared for making it worse, but you can just try. And just when you know that there's a possibility that this migraine is trigger point induced, and it's probably a high likelihood, why not try? And that changed her life, because now I taught her to work her own trigger points. She doesn't have trigger points, she doesn't get migraines anymore. No more migraines. And it's just, I think what you do, in my experience of you, is that you make it okay to try different things and ask different questions, and that's what I really valued in the training.
And what you did is what I like students to do. Do it. Right? Take a chance. Because if you can make something worse, that means you can get rid of it. Isn't that funny? When it comes to trigger point, if you can make it look worse, you can get rid of it. That's the beauty about knowledge. Instead of backing off, it says, okay, let's work with this.